r/Nuclearrevenge.
Oh, and I just gotta preface here the title for this. Guy behind me in traffic was blinding me in traffic with his high beam, so I violated his retinas with the full force of an afternoon sun. So, that's a headline, so let's just jump right into the story, shall we?
Okay, you wanna like take turns reading each paragraph, or?
Sure, I could start us off.
Alright.
I was driving home from work, and traffic was backed up pretty badly for a few miles. It was stop and go. When I was stuck, hold on, I gotta scroll back. In that, I'll usually back into about 75 feet of car in front of me, so that I can hold a pace and move at a slow but constant roll, like the semi-trucks do. This way I'm not participating in the bumper-to-bumper move and brake like the rest of the smooth brain drivers. Alrighty then, smooth brain.
Some dude in a Acura crossover was behind me, and I guess he was getting upset because I wasn't 2 feet from the car in front of me, driving like a smooth brain. So he gets up on my butt and starts beeping his horn at me. Lol, I think to myself as I turned up my radio.
But then he started flashing his brights at me, which is where I get annoyed. He's in one of those Acuras that has the super bright LED headlights. Oh yeah, I've definitely been. I remember in a car and like on a trip with like, they got massive brights. They're blinding.
I have been blinded.
My car is much lower.
Myself.
Yeah, they are. Oof. It's like BMW drivers. They're some of the most impatient sons of bitches on the road.
Yeah.
Anyways, my car is much lower than his, so his low beams are already pretty bright in my mirrors, bright enough that I don't want to look in them. The first time he flashed his high beams, it put spots in my vision for a moment. It genuinely hurt my eyes. After the first flash, he waits for about 10 seconds, beeps his horn, then flashes me again. Now I'm getting pissed. I'm thinking, where the fuck do you want me to go? Do you really think 2 feet from the car in front of you will make traffic move faster? Then he flashes me a third time, but this time he held them for about 15 seconds. Time for the gloves to come off.
During those 15 seconds, as I'm looking away from my mirrors, I see my 14,000 lumen searchlight sitting in my passenger seat. At which point, I'm immediately overcome by a wave of chaotic, lawful incitement, as he is just set in motion, cannot be stopped. I think to myself, oh buddy, you just opened the wrong can of worms. You're gonna learn today. This seems like a supervillain. This reads like I'm reading like a supervillain monologue. Oh my god.
Me when reaching for the 14,000 lumen searchlight to blind the fucker behind me. Alright, wait. Oh, hold on. I think you. Hold on.
No,
is this the next part?
This one right here.
Oh yeah, alright, okay. I grabbed the flashlight and set it to its absolute max 14,000 lumen brightness setting. The flashlight has a sensor in it to automatically dim the light if facing down on a table, because otherwise the diodes would get the diodes would get so hot they melt the lens. What the fuck kind of flashlight? The 14,000 lumen setting is so intense. I mean, yeah, it's gotta be to melt the lens. The 57 watt-hour battery can only hold it for 180 seconds before the flashlight automatically notches down to a measly 9,500 lumens. That's still pretty bright. During those 180 seconds, the light will burn through 15% of the battery power. For reference, I can't stop laughing. For reference on just how bright this is, the literal fucking sun emits a luminosity of 11,000 lumens per square foot on a bright and clear day.
I turn around and aim it straight out the back of my rear window. My car is pretty noisy, so before I turn it on, I rev up my engine to make sure Captain Smoothbrain is eyes forward when I violate his retinas with the full force of an afternoon sun. I hit the power button and I can only imagine the freight train of shock and pain that plowed over this man. It was so bright his automatic headlight set off because the car thought it was daytime. With the light on, I could see him clear his glass through his tinted windshield. He was covering eyes and looking down, probably screaming. I watched him try and flip down his sun visor, but his hands couldn't find it. As I thought to myself, "Burn, you motherfucker, burn!" I imagine my facial expression was similar to that of a 6-year-old roasting insects with a magnifying glass on a bright summer day. After about 5 seconds of blinding light, I took mercy and shut it off. He proceeded to back away the hell off and move over to a different lane.
Was this an unsafe thing for me to do? Absolutely. Was this illegal? Almost certainly. Was it warranted? Without question. Possibly the highlight of my year. A lot more than highlight, about 40,000 lumens worth.
Drive safe and don't be a dick to the car in front of you because they might just have the tools to teach you a lesson. TLDR, dickhead in traffic was excessively flashing his little high beams at me, hurting my eyes because I couldn't go faster than the car in front of me, so I showed him how it feels. I think he did a little bit more than show him how it feels.
Oh boy. It was so bright his automatic headlights shut off. Oh shit. Damn, no kidding. His car too backed up in submission. Bro, you don't want that smoke. You don't want no part in this shit.
Oh my god. I'm just gonna... A whole bunch of
Just a fucking... I'm reaching for the 14,000 lumen searchlight in my passenger
That
seat.
sounds like a shit post meme, like a bottom text meme.
Me when flashing someone with 14,000 lumens in traffic.
Officer pulls me over, me reaching for my 14,000 lumens flashlight in my glove compartment.
Sir, were you the one that just summoned the sun in the middle of traffic? No, officer, I have no idea what you're talking about. Reaches for 14,000 lumens.
Just fucking vaporizes the officer with the flashlight.
Reddit, that's funny. Okay, hold on. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and read this title here. This gives off some really white knight energy.
Trigger warning, this involves SA. Yeah. So...
Anyways, disclaimer, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a very disturbing part of the video. Some very graphic content shall be presented forth, so viewer discretion is advised. And now, a quick disclaimer before it as well. These kinds of actions within the story are not something that you should do, and are not appropriate whatsoever, and are illegal. Although if you wanna go ahead and blast a 14,000 lumen searchlight at a BMW driver behind you and absolutely burn their retinas, go right ahead.
only if they deserve it, though.
Oh yeah, only if they're flashing. Okay, only if they're
you just fucking flash it at a kid riding his bike on the sidewalk.
Just an elderly couple walking down the street. You flash them, they just fucking die.
They fucking turn to ash. They just fucking turn into ash.
They just blow away. They just blow away in the wind like.
Alright, story. Who wants? I guess I'll start. So to put it simply, I was a little shit as a kid.
I used to steal from stores and family. Swear and throw things at random people walking down the street. Was smoking from the age of 12 and didn't give a shit about anyone but my friends. They were my real family, or so I thought. And a group of all 5 of us would cause trouble every single fucking day.
My parents, though in my later years have told me they should have been more effective in their discipline, really weren't to blame. I was just a mixed up kid. I used to think that doing all this stuff made me cool. I can't really describe how superior I felt when I made grown adults afraid of me, but it made me feel powerful, and power was something I craved when I was younger. Okay, you fucking supervillain.
I could go on and on about my sins, but the fact is, I was just fucked in the head. I've made amends where I can to who I could, but you're not here for self-flagellation.
I guess.
Sounds about right. You're here for the revenge.
So, long story short, when I was 16, my parents finally had enough, and despite all my tantrums and screaming and even some physical violence against my dad, they decided to put me in a school for troubled youth. I call it a school, but what it really was a military institution that taught discipline in the most brutally effective ways while throwing in some literacy and numeracy classes along the way.
Pretty effectively for discipline. Okay, so where were we? Oh, yeah.
Where the mouse is.
Right there. Without going into much detail, I'll say that this school changed me. While aggressive, violent, cocky, and near homicidal, okay then, when I was first dumped on their doorstep, the men who ran this camp broke me down. Burp. I was there for over a year, no phone calls, no visits home, no access to the outside world. For 1 whole year, I had this camp and these counselors, these real-life hard-ass men teach me just how much of a shit stain I really was.
By the end of my second summer, I was a changed kid. I had fought and screamed and gotten my ass kicked more times than I can count, but eventually, I was beaten down. These men taught me that real men simply don't act the way I did, and that the type of path I was heading down would lead me either in jail or dead. They were brutally honest about it, especially this one counselor, Jay. By the end of the stay, I considered Jay a second father. Though I hated him at first for making me feel inferior, he really did me a favor, teaching me how toxic my behavior was, and to this day I still think of him as something of a hero. He was the main person who deemed me ready to return home. But the backstory is getting really long, so let's get to the real story. Right here.
But the back is so long. Let's get to the real story. All right. When I returned home, I had changed from an abusive little prick to a somewhat civilized young man, ready to take on my last year of high school. I was nervous to go back, since I had adapted to the disciplinary school life, but I was also excited. I missed my friends and hoped they would just accept me back, despite the fact that I hadn't spoken to any of them in over a year.
And to my relief, I was accepted back with open arms. One of my closest friends had moved states since I had been away, but the other 3 were ecstatic to see me. Over the next few weeks, I settled down. I didn't spend a lot of time with them outside of school. My parents were kind of testing how much I'd matured since returning and were setting boundaries on when I could go out, how long I could stay out, and where I could go, etc. I was determined to prove to them I wasn't the same fuck up that had ruined their lives all those years. So I followed the rules, and so only really talked to my friends during school. All this is relevant because of what happened next.
I had joined the school football team all 3 friends were a part of, and one evening after practice all my teammates were in the gym, sweaty and dirty but pleased with ourselves. I was laughing and chatting with my 3 best friends so much I didn't really notice that we were the last left in the gym. But that's when the conversation started turning bad.
One of my friends, I'll call him F1 for friend 1, for simplicity, started telling me how a college party that we're all planning on going to, and how they'd been crashing college parties for a few months now, since it was easy access to girls and booze. I was hesitant about it because I didn't think my mom and dad would agree to let me go. But when F1 started talking about the girl he was planning on inviting, a girl who went to the same school as us, but not one I thought F1 had any real relationships with. I knew her, but I didn't know her. He started to tell both my other friends and me that he'd been really trying to get her into bed for a while, and she kept making excuses, so he planned on taking her to the party and finally smashing. Ugh.
Oh boy.
When I asked him in a joking way, what makes you so sure she won't reject you again, he looked me dead in the eye and said it as casually as he pleased, with the most chilling sentence I have ever heard in my entire life. I'm just, quote unquote, I'm just gonna slip something in her drink, it'll loosen her up, no problem. The trigger wording SA will come in to play, so if you're not interested in listening to this type of information, skip here. Alright.
Yes, there will be a noticeable.
There will be a time.
I guess we could put up a timestamp.
There will be a timestamp.
Put up a timestamp, maybe. Yeah.
I will.
just for those who want to skip this section of the video.
Yes.
Alrighty then. At first, I just kind of awkwardly laughed, thinking it was some fucked up joke, but they weren't laughing with me. When I asked him if he was serious, he told me he was sick of her bullshit games. Alrighty then. And knew she was just stringing him along, and that the pills would just make things easier. Okay, I could not believe my fucking ears. Oh my god.
I excused myself from the conversation and pretty quickly and practically bolted home, most likely driving through several stop signs that I don't really remember. I spent the whole night convincing myself my friends were just messing around. A few more days passed and the conversation in the locker room was all but forgotten, though they hadn't shut up about the party and kept insisting that I just snuck out and joined them. I got called a pussy repeatedly for telling them I wasn't going because of my parents, but again, I just brushed it off. Then, the shit finally hits the fan.
During yet another after-school training session, we all ended up last in the locker rooms, and F1 does something I never would have expected in 1,000 fucking years. All three of them have been talking about the party this whole time. Then F1 starts rummaging through his gym bag. He tells us all to look at this, and F2 tosses a small bag of little pink pills. Immediately, I feel... Oh, should I? Sorry. Yeah, I'll read this.
Just
read it?
Just how about you just read it so you want me to read?
Alright. Immediately, I feel the blood drain from my face, and like bombs going off in my head, a voice in my mind is screaming, holy shit, this is really happening. This is serious. Holy fucking shit. I would be too, honestly. Alright, go ahead.
It's really hard to describe what I was feeling when F1 started going into detail about how he planned on inviting the girl to the party, slipping something into her drink and making use of one of the frat boy bedrooms for a few hours. I was sick, like literally could have hurled everything from my stomach all over the floor as I listened to all three of them talk about how awesome the party was going to be after just describing how they were planning to S.A. a girl. I couldn't take it, and again I ran off. I actually did end up puking later that night, going over and over my head what the fuck I had just witnessed. I almost couldn't believe it. These three boys had been my friends for 15 years. I thought of them as my own family. I thought I knew them better than anyone else. But 1 year away in this...
I'll tell you that I actually broke down crying that night. I'm not ashamed to admit it. What I am ashamed of is how long I took to actually get a grip and handle it. I knew I should have told someone, but someone, but in some fucked up way, my loyalties were still screwed. Don't crucify me for it. I know now what I should have done, but I was 17. And these were my best friends. I didn't want them to get into trouble, but at the same time, I knew I couldn't let this shit go down. So instead of reporting all I'd heard to an adult like a normal fucking person, I decided I'd sort it out all on my own.
So I went to F1 and told him not to do what he had planned. I told him it was stupid and dangerous and would ruin both his life and the life of the girl he was planning on drugging. He didn't even blink. He got right in my face and told me that the school I got sent to had turned me into a pussy, that he hated how much I'd changed and had been trying to change me back with F1 and F3. He even told me how they'd been talking about me behind my back and how they'd planned to give me a turn, oh my god, on the girl once F1 was done with her. Jesus Christ. Just to show me what I was missing out on, he said something I never forget. He told me word for word, quote unquote, I am doing that little bitch a favor. She's a fucking virgin. After this party, your mom won't be the only one finally getting some. I punched him. We fought and we both got sent home for suspension for fighting. I could not fucking believe it. I was seething.
My best friend had hold on. My best friend had said that to me. My best friend had told me he was going to rape an innocent girl.
Anyway. Yeah, for that word, say essay.
Yeah, sorry. My best friend had told me he was going to SA and I some girl at a party, and I was a pussy for not wanting to join in. I was disgusted, sickened to my core, and I was done with him. My parents were disappointed I had gotten suspended so shortly after coming home, but I just sat quietly while my mom cried and my dad screamed at me. Now that I should have told him. But after what F1 said to me, I had this insane notion in my head that I was going to get him back all on my own. And now to the revenge.
After a weekend of being grounded, I went back to school, and the first thing I did was seek out F1. He was about as bashed up as I was, but he was sporting a nice black eye from where I'd hit him in the face. F2 and F3 were standing with him, and they all glared at me as I approached them. Then I did something that made me feel sick. I apologized to him. I told him I was sorry I hit him, and that he was right. I hit chains, and I hated what the school had done to me, and I wanted to go back to being old me again, and surprisingly, they all bought it. F1 and I even hugged it out, and I put the cherry on top when I told them I'd be coming to the party. Now for my dumbass teenage plan. First, I started recording them whenever they were alone together. I wanted to get everything they said about the party and the girls they were planning on victimizing on tape. I knew I needed some kind of proof or it would just be my word against theirs, and after a few days I'd gotten more than enough, but I wasn't done. No, my stupid self had a plan that I was going to fulfill to the fullest. So the next thing I did was track down the girl, take her aside, and tell her everything. She was pissed and scared, but I begged her not to go to police or tell anyone. I know that was stupid as well, but for some reason she listened to me. I had a plan, a crazy, stupid plan to teach them a lesson. So I told her to tell F1 she was going to meet him at the party, but to just stay home so she could stay safe. That's actually pretty smart. Later that day, F1 started bragging about how the girl had accepted his invitation and everything was going to plan. And I sat there, phone half out of my pocket, recording the whole damn thing. So night of the party finally rolls around and I sneak out because, I was grounded.
Oh boy, here we go. I think it's worth mentioning that I wasn't filled with vindication or self-righteousness throughout the whole night. I was second-guessing myself. I had doubts, but in a strange way, I felt betrayed. These three boys had been my brothers since before I could throw a punch, and I felt betrayed that they had gone down this road. What fucked me in the hand even more was the possibility that I might have been just like them if my parents hadn't sent me away. It was a strange moment of realization to come to in the middle of a crowded frat house surrounded by drunk idiots, but you take what life throws at you.
So the night goes on and F1 is getting steadily more frustrated. The girl he invited hadn't showed up. I made sure to keep him in my sights for the whole night, not wanting him to decide that any old girl would do if he couldn't take the one he wanted. I kept an eye on all of them, watching as they drank and drank while I stayed level-headed as possible with some water and a beer can. When midnight came, all three of them were plastered, and I knew that all the girls at the party would be safe by then. By this time, the crowd was dying down, and a few people who couldn't hold their liquor were already passed out around the house. And now was my time to shine. While all three of them were occupied with the drinking game, I hunted in F1's bag and found the bag of little pink pills. Here's where I did something I'm not particularly proud of. I'll tell you anyway. Oh wait, goddammit! Is he gonna do what I think he is? Okay.
Yeah, looks like it.
I slipped one pill into 3 beers each, and handed them to my friends. Then waited. It didn't take long before all of them were passed out on the floor, along with quite a few other party guests. I then took out a black permanent marker per my bag and wrote R-wordist on all 3 of their foreheads, took pictures and immediately uploaded them to our school's Facebook page so that everyone who attended our school would see them. Admittedly, I didn't really think this part through, since I not only did this in full view of every other conscious person at the party, but I also knew the photos wouldn't last long on the school site because they would be taken down. Since it was a small school in a small town, I wouldn't doubt a whole bunch of people would see it before the teacher removed the photos, and that's exactly what I wanted. Next came the recordings.
I got home, I got a verbal bludgeoning. Oh, that's an interesting one. I got a verbal bludgeoning from my parents for sneaking out, but they stopped when I finally told them what had been happening. They were both shocked and a little disbelieving, but when I played them both the recordings I saved on my phone, they were just as sickened as I was. I was silent in the car as my dad drove me to the police station, receiving a lecture about how I should have just come to him in the first place, and what I'd done at the party wasn't necessary, but I felt like it was right at the time. My phone had already blown up with other students commenting on the pictures of my 3 ex-friends with our wordist written on their foreheads. And while a lot of them laughed at the and while a lot just laughed at them, many were questioning if there was any truth to it. It was what I wanted, and I wanted everyone to know who they really were, so they had nowhere to hide. The hours at the police station were admittedly very scary. I was still debating with myself whether or not I did the right thing, but my friends had chosen their own fate. I still felt hurt and betrayed. They'd allowed themselves to become this way, and even though I felt a little guilt for potentially ruining their future, I did what I thought had to be done.
And long story short, the recordings were enough to get them all on charges of planning to commit a crime. Since the girl F1 had been planning on drugging had been named, her parents were understandably furious and demanded all 3 of my ex-friends to be arrested. I would have been too, were it not for the girl telling her parents and the courts that I had warned her to stay away from F1 and the party. I was charged for use of my illegal substance, since I admitted to using pills on my 3 ex-friends, and also for battery, since the permanent marker was seen as a form of assault. But luckily I never got jail time. I did get a boatload of community service though. All 3 of them were tried as adults in a case of attempted R-word, but only F1 got actual jail time, since he was the one who'd gotten the pills and was the only one who had admitted to wanting to use them. The other 2 only got probation and community service for being accessories, but were completely shunned in their own town. No one ever let them forget. I was prepared for the backlash, ready to be jumped by them or something, but strangely enough, I think seeing F1 go to jail for what he did knocked some sense into the 2 of them. They wised up enough to actually get into college without football scholarships, since they were both kicked off the team. They never came anywhere near me again, which surprised me, but I no longer cared. In my mind, my friends were dead to me long before all this went down. By the time I moved away to college, it was all behind me.
Alright, I'm in my final year of college now, and I still think about those 3 sometimes. I think about how if my parents hadn't sent me to the special school, I may have ended up like them. Oddly enough, I do miss them at times, but I know it's the memory of the kids I miss, not the men they turned into. I thanked my parents continuously for sending me to that place, and even got some approval from Jay when I felt man enough to tell him what happened. I don't know what will happen to F1 when he gets out of jail, but a part of me hopes he learns his lesson and moves on with his life, like I have. Jay called me a few days ago to, just to check up on me. And I told him this whole story, which is kind of why I'm now telling the internet. I guess the moral is to stand up to your friends when you know they're doing wrong, but maybe not in the stupid way I did it. Always involve others more qualified to deal with situations you're not sure about, even if you're a headstrong, stubborn as fuck teenager who thinks you know everything.
Alright, so we could read the updates if you want to. Let's just questions and stuff.
Oh, let's see. So what does the TLDR say?
Well, it's just pretty much the whole story.
So updates. Okay. Oh yeah, we can read this.
Alright, update. Wow, I did not expect this much support all over this. Thanks for the kind words, and I'm sorry I haven't answered so many questions, but school has been harsh, so I'll try to answer as many as I can. 1. To all of you asking if the girl in the story and I became friends, well, sadly, no. We talked a lot during the court case and after, but never really developed a friendship. I think we were both too embarrassed over everything, so we just went our separate ways and remained civil in school.
For everyone questioning why I sound British, all I can say is, wow, I'm used to people picking it up on people picking up on it in person, but not through writing. Some of you guys must be secret geniuses. My father is British. His whole family lives over there, and we visit a lot. And his family is about as British as they come. And a little piece of side information: I was actually born in Britain, 6 weeks premature, but I was raised in America.
I could tell he was British just by how he spelled mom.
What?
He spelled it mum, M-M-U-M.
Really?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. I know that it's somewhere in here. Oh, we'll find it. I know we spelled it M-U-M. Give me 1 second. Okay. Oh my god, I swear he spelled it M-U-M at one point. You're just gonna have to believe me, because I can't find it.
Yeah, I got you.
You're just gonna have to believe me.
I got you. I guess we could just go down to it anyways. What were we? The third one?
3. For everyone asking about Jay, well, he's great. A great man who's gone through a lot of his life, too. Who's gone through a lot in his life, too. He lost his son to drugs, which is why I kind of think he made it his job to look out for boys like me, just to make sure no other parent goes through what he did. His reaction to what happened was basically to call me an idiot for all the crap I pulled, but he was proud I didn't forget everything I learned the moment I got home. He also told me that he'd like for me to come and speak at the school next summer, just to tell some new boys coming in how bad things can get if you refuse to change the way you live. If I ever strike it rich, I'll be giving the school a massive donation. The school.
Alright, for everyone out.
Number 4.
For everyone asking where this happened, for the sake of everyone's privacy, including mine, I'm going to have to keep that a secret. All I can say was a small town with a small population, which is probably why the whole thing wasn't plastered all over the news. But I'm paranoid, so that will just have to remain a mystery.
For everyone suggesting I track down my friend and move before I got back home, well, I'm kind of on the fence about that. Call me a coward, but I think I'd prefer to remember him as my childhood best friend without all the memories being tainted the way they are with all the others. If I went looking, I might not like what I find, even though it's possible he changed too after being removed from such a toxic environment. I just don't know. I guess I'd rather live with the ambiguity.
For those of you wondering what I would have done in this situation if I never gone to that school, well, for obvious reasons, I can't really answer you. I'd like to think I would have stood up to them all the same, but my mind was seriously twisted back then, so I'd prefer not to think about that.
For everyone questioning what I'm doing now, I'm studying aerospace engineering. I love planes. I like planes. I love planes and
I love the window pane.
I love planes, and through my course, I've gone to tour the underbelly of both planes and even some aircraft that have been in space. I don't want to sound like a dork, but seeing all those components fit together and actually showing how it all works and what everything's called and how to identify everything is seriously epic. I just hope I pass the course with a good enough grade to make a career out of it. If there are any other questions I missed, feel free to ask me. I don't have a lot of free time, so the responses might be late, but by all means ask. Once again, thank you to everyone for your kind words and for the surprisingly lack of people calling me a dumbass. I appreciate it. How old is this story? This story is 5 years. This dude's probably making chips for NASA now.
It's probably doing really good right now, and yeah, this is definitely something that would have needed to been addressed, and it's good to see that people have acknowledged a situation like this. And yes, his actions were very noble in said situation, but very dumb. Not very good idea to do something like that, but he definitely did the right thing, that's for sure.
Okay, nuclear feline revenge. Crazy entitled neighbor tries to bleach my sister's cat. Cat gets revenge.
Bleach my sister's cat. Okay, well then.
I count this as a nuclear revenge story, but not in the traditional sense. This happened many years ago. My older sister had this awful, bitchy neighbor who had a serious hard-on for Sis's Seal Point Siamese cat. I'll call neighbor CN for crazy neighbor. Sister is Sis, me is self-explanatory. CN was a black-haired, plump, 40-something divorcee who annoyed everyone in the neighborhood. She had zero understanding of boundaries and liked to come over to people's homes, barge in, and look. We'll snoop around opening drawers and cabinets and touching their stuff. Once she even went into someone's fridge and grabbed herself a ginger ale. Then got mad the homeowner took it back. If you left your door, front or back, unlocked for more than 10 minutes, chances are she'd just come right in. She stole yard decorations from other people's yards and had been caught on more than one occasion pocketing something she'd snagged off a mantel or a table of a house she invaded, and she would always throw tantrums when she got busted. Cops had been called on her many times, but she was good at being pathetic, so most people didn't press charges. Unfortunately, this made her bolder. So this lady is just casually robbing people in her neighborhood. It's insane. I imagine, for some reason, I imagine her being like 4 foot tall and just like 5 feet wide and just like stumbling, like waddling into people's houses, just like sniffing out stuff for some reason. Just like kind of like a pug, like a pug or a bulldog,
like a British bulldog.
Yeah, like Boss kind of. All right,
let's continue. Basically, she was the entitled bitch of the neighborhood. Yes, it does sound like she's an entitled bitch indeed.
Yeah.
Sis was, unfortunately, one of her favorite victims. Okay, you know, just reading that line makes me feel, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, she'd come over without calling, barging her way in and ask, demand to see Sis's cat, telling Sis how beautiful he was and how much she wanted a cat like him. Sis, being rather not unconfrontational, would let her see the cat who didn't like the woman, then make her leave. CN never wanted to leave and had to be basically pushed out the door. It must have been hard. She must be really fat. Oh, and she's despised me because I wouldn't let her in when I answered the door, nor would I tolerate her BS in any way if she got past my sister.
I imagine
CN would be so
sorry, I have one little thing I want to say. I imagine the best way to get her out would to just be like put her on like a catapult or something, just whee, fucking launch her out from the backyard.
Just get one of those like you know, like those moving companies. Yeah, trebuchet.
Get a trebuchet.
You know, like those. Hold on. You know, like those moving companies have those like kind of like those things that you know, like they stack boxes on with the wheels and what's it called? Like you like stack boxes on top of it, you know, like kick it forward and it starts rolling. Yeah, dolly. Yeah, there you go. Just get a fucking dolly, strap her to it, and just fucking throw her outside.
Alright, you can get if you want.
Anyways, what the fuck was I reading? CN was so obsessed with the cat and offered to buy him many times. Oh boy. But Sis loved the cat. He'd in the runt of the litter and rejected by his mom. Man, that sucks. My sister had taken him and bottle-fed him, mothered him, and saved his life. Oh, that's nice. He wasn't a pet. He was her child. Honestly, I definitely felt that way about pets before.
Yeah.
So Sis, of course, always said no. This royally pissed off CN. Okay. One day the cat got out. He wasn't an outdoor cat, so Sis and I immediately started looking for him. We were checking the bushes and behind the flower pots in her backyard when we heard a very distinctive yowl. One of pure rage, followed by a very human shriek of pain coming from CN's house. Now,
Suddenly,
sake.
the doggy door on Cian's back door slams open and out runs my sister's cat, his tail and one rear paw covered in what smelled like hair bleach. I'm allergic to bleach and immediately recognized the smell as he passed me, dashing past us into Sis's house. Next thing you know, Cian's back door slams open and she comes out cursing up a blue streak. Ragged claw marks abdored her left cheek and one of her hands had a deep bite wound that had completely saturated? No. Yeah. Saturated one of the gloves. The kind one gets with any hair coloring kit she was wearing and running down her hand and arm. Turned out when the cat had gone out, Cian grabbed him, took him inside, then tried to use hair bleach to bleach the brown out of his tail and paws in order to change his appearance so she could keep him. Unfortunately for her, she didn't know shit about Siamese cats and how violent they can be. They were originally temple guardians for a reason. The moment Cian put that bleach on the cat's tail, she went absolutely berserk, letting out the yowl of rage we'd heard, clawing up Cian's face and sinking his fangs into her deep hand. She pushed herself between the bushes, the ones that look like tall green paintbrush heads Sis used to separate the property line, and began yelling. No, not yelling, shrieking. She shrieked that Sis's cat had wandered into her kitchen while she was cooking, and she tried to pick him up and he attacked her for no reason. Clearly, this was total BS.
Cian then proceeded to call Sis the N-word several times. She's half.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So she looked like a bulldog and she's racist. Oh no.
You know, it's like, how can we make Karens worse? Well,
it sounds like a character I'd have in a D&D, in fucking D&D.
I thought you were about to say it sounds like she's on creatine.
It sounds like she's on cocaine.
Oh boy. Anyways, and an effing half-breed wetbacks. What the? You know, I probably should have censored myself saying that. Hold on.
Well, you're like what, a quarter? I think that's enough. I think you got the wetback pass.
Anyways,
go ahead.
Anyways, I'm half Hispanic. We have different dads, so they're half siblings. All right. She screamed that my sis was stupid for keeping such a dangerous animal, and that my sis would be paying all her medical bills. All right, sure. She then got right in my sister's face, pushed my sister hard in the chest with her injured hand, saying she was calling animal control and intended to have that thing put down. Cian opened her mouth to shriek some more, but my sis, after hearing that last statement and without one word warning, hauled off and decked her. Bro, I bet that felt good.
She landed. No, you go first. You can.
Alright, she landed on her butt in the grass, and now clutching her left eye. Yeah, bitch. Sister loudly suggested Cian go screw herself with a curling iron. Oh, what the fuck? Then she ran inside with her poor cat. I called the cops. You can go ahead.
The whole thing from start to end lasted only about 5 minutes. Sis found him hiding in the laundry room and Damn, all that happened in 5 minutes? Jesus Christ. Sis found him hiding in the laundry room and quickly cleaned off in the sink. Meanwhile, Cian on her fat ass in our backyard, howling like a banshee until the cops arrived. I told him what happened, and they later talked to my sister after she tended to her cat, who gave them the same story I did, even admitting to hitting Cian in self-defense, of course. It didn't hurt her case that Cian had left a bloody handprint on my sister's shirt when she'd shoved her. Cian, of course, told them something entirely different. Her story was that she was about to bleach her hair, then my sister's cat came in and attacked her. She also said both Sis and I attacked her too. Apparently, I kicked her in the stomach after Sis punched her, but the cops found no evidence of bruising, and the scratches on her face kind of matched kind of masked her eye swelling, so I think cops turned a blind eye to it considering circumstances. But since there was a clear blood trail leading to Cian's open back door, cops thought they had probable cause to go in. I think if Cian had been paying more attention, he'd have refused entry. The blood trail led to a sink in the first floor bathroom. Blood, cat fur, a bleach applicator, and the box it came in were in the sink and on the floor. The cat's collar was in the garbage. Cian kept trying to play the victim, but the cops didn't buy it. She got arrested and my sister pressed charges for theft and assault. Cian also got nabbed for possession for stolen goods. Cops found a bunch of DVD players and CD players still in their boxes sitting on her coffee table and in the spare room next to her bathroom. She had a bunch of prescription drug bottles and other people's names on her kitchen counter. Turned out she had been stealing neighbors' painkillers. Yeah, I kind of figured that part actually.
Yeah,
and since I kind of figured that. And since she was a renter, the property owner gave her the boot for breach of contract. She went to jail and had to pay for the cat's vet bill. He was okay, but a bit traumatized and had a bunch of yellow patch on his butt, paw, and tail for several months. Cian's hand got infected from the cat bite, and it turned out it had caused a tendon and severe nerve damage as well. Moral of the story: stay out of people's houses and have common sense not to mess with a cat named Lucifer. Oh, hell yeah.
Siamese cat named Lucifer.
That's awesome.
What was the edit down there?
I'd like to thank the people who gave me the golds. Yeah, I was just thanking for Reddit gifts.
Oh, that's nice. I love the top comment on the Reddit post is just good kitty.
It's just a whole line of good kitty.
It's just a string.
Bon
Beautiful. Bon meno. What is that, like Italian? Or?
I think that's also means.
Yeah, it's just everyone just saying good kitty. Nice kitty.
Best
kitty.
Yeah. I'm from Thailand, and this is the comment. I'm from Thailand, and I've dealt with the Siamese cat for a bit. They originated from Thailand, but I rarely see one. Ironic, I know, but this breed of cats are vicious. I had a neighbor who owned one when I was about 5 to 6 years old. I remember trying to play with it, and it scratched the fuck out of me. I still have scars because of it, and every time I go near it, it would hiss at me. It died when I was 10. Its name... What the fuck? Was... Oh, Snow. Just cough. Was Snow in Thai. Snow in Thai. It was cute and had white fur with brownish dark fur on its face and paws and a tail. But 5 out of 10 would not pet again.
By the way, I did start reading that and you just completely cut me off.
Oh, really? I thought. Sorry, you were probably my internet probably cut off when you started, and I was like reading. I didn't realize you started.
I don't know. It was just funny. It's funny because it sounds like you didn't even know what the fuck just happened. Yeah, this is